Service in Raleigh. It's your routine weekly briefing for Central North Carolina that covers the period September 22nd through the 28th, basically the next 7 days. And with you this morning is myself, Nick Petro, warning coordination meteorologist, and we're going to do a tag team today. I've got alongside me Jimmy Danko, who's one of our meteorologists and forecasters here. Jimmy's going to take you through the basically the next couple days, and then I'm going to take you through the extended and talk about the tropics. So Jimmy, take it away.
All right, good morning, everyone. So we'll first get started looking at this afternoon when we actually have a marginal risk for severe storms associated with a cold front that's going to be moving through from basically early this afternoon into the early evening hours is when it'll be crossing through central North Carolina. And scattered showers are expected along the front, as well as some isolated thunderstorms. It'll be probably a line and a broken line at that, which you can see here with one of the models that we use to look at what we expect to happen over the next several hours. So this kind of gives you an idea of what we expect to happen. So there, a line starts to form around mid-afternoon in the northern Piedmont, and then moves southeast and looks like it is strongest in the coastal plain and sandhills regions. And in the late afternoon hours, that looks to be the best time and the best areas for possibly some brief heavy rain, lightning, and locally damaging wind gusts are the main threats with this. It'll be quick moving though, so probably not too much of a flooding concern since it'll be moving through so fast and we've been so dry. Mostly a wind threat.
All right, do you want to mention anything about the highs today and the warmth?
Yeah, sure. So going back to, so we have a strong southwesterly flow out ahead of the cold front that'll be moving through, and that's going to help bring temperatures well into the 90s today for much of the region. And the south and east have the best chance for seeing some, maybe even some upper 90s. There's still some uncertainty with the exact, the timing of the front, which will affect how warm we're able to get today. But generally, it's going to be quite warm. And then after the front moves through, sharply cooler air will surge in behind it, and it's going to be pretty gusty for probably a few hours along and behind the front, maybe even some northerly winds gusting between 30 and 40 miles an hour. And then low temperatures tonight will drop into the 50s, and even some upper 40s will be possible across the north.
Wow, Jimmy, actually, it just occurred to me that today is the first day of fall, right?
That is
the 22nd of September. So,
yep.
So for our listeners and watchers, yeah, this cold front and the sharp change in cooler temperatures is like right on schedule here with the first day of fall. So
yeah.
So anyway, I'm excited about that. I like fall weather. So anyway, what about the rest of the week? Or I should say the weekend, because today's Thursday.
Yeah. So after the front moves through today, we dry out for Friday and Saturday with cool high pressure building in, and it's going to feel really nice outside. Probably high temperatures tomorrow, only in the lower to mid 70s. So quite a change from what we've been having the last the rest of this week. And Friday night, we're expecting widespread lows down into the 40s. And then we start to warm up this weekend, fairly seasonable. and then it's still dry until Sunday when we get another frontal system moving through, providing a chance for some additional showers and storms Sunday and Sunday night. And then high pressure builds in behind that, bringing a return to dry weather from Monday through the middle of next week.
Okay. So I'm just curious. There's no chance for any upper 30s anywhere, are there, Friday night? Are dew points going to get that low?
Dew points will get into the possibly into the upper 30s on Friday. So it can't be entirely ruled out, but
well, I know it's way too soon for any frost, but I know I have a couple tropical plants outside that do not like upper 30s. So I'm wondering if I need to bring those tropical plants in.
Yeah. Well, we should get a better idea of that tomorrow.
Okay. So if you're like me and have any tropical plants outside, check our updated low forecast as we had low temperature forecast we had through the next couple of days. No frost though. Don't worry about that. All right. What about rainfall?
Rainfall looks fairly light on average, really through the next several days. Today, with that line of showers and storms moving through, I mean, the overall average rainfall amounts expected are really only on the order of around 1/10 of an inch or less even. There could be some locally higher amounts with any isolated storms, but again, it will be quick moving, so not expecting a lot of rain from this. And then Friday and Saturday are completely dry. Sunday, the next cold front moves through, and that could provide some additional rain. But again, it's not looking like very much, on the order of 1/4 to maybe 1/2 an inch at most. And then dry on Monday.
All right, that's looking pretty good. Obviously no flash flooding, right?
Nope.
Okay, and then I think we kind of already touched on this, but I guess once we get past today, any risk for severe weather next couple days?
Not after today.
Okay, all right, awesome. All right, well that takes us to the tropics. So Jimmy, thanks for that info, man. That was good. I'm a little bit. I definitely am concerned about bringing my some of my plants in for those 40s temperatures Friday night. So, but of course, I know a lot of folks are concerned about the tropics. Let's just get Fiona and Gaston out of the way. Those are the images on the far right. And obviously, Fiona is not going to be a direct concern for us, although I will point out Fiona is producing some really dangerous surf and rip currents along our beaches. So if you're going to the beach, or if you know anybody who's at the beach now or the next few days, please encourage them to either stay out of the water or just maybe go in, ankle deep, because I'll tell you what, there's going to be a high risk for rip currents next few days across the Carolina beaches. So yeah, definitely try to stay out of the water if you can, if you know anybody at the beach this next few days. Gaston's not a problem. That's in the lower right inset on this image. What we're really looking at is what's going to happen to invest number 98, which is this guy right here, as it's forecast to track off to the west-northwest over the next 5 days. Obviously, the Hurricane Center has that pinged as a high risk for becoming a tropical, tropical system, if you will, over the next 5 days. So I generally do not like to show spaghetti plots, okay, just because they can be very misleading at times. But, since we're so far out in time, we'll go ahead and just show this because there's a couple important things that we can glean from a spaghetti model like this. All right, so TD9, or TD, it's not a TD yet. It's a disturbance, not a depression. So it's not TD9, it's Invest 98 is what I meant to say there, a little trip of the tongue there. So, but that's down here, right? So the models generally are clustered the next few days. Pretty good agreement. This is a general track. But here's where we really get into a lot of disagreement is when we're in the Northwest Caribbean, and then especially as we get up into here. Each dot shows where basically where in the next 5 days where it could be located, in the 5 days from now. So look at no, wait, that's not 5 days from now. I stand corrected. 192 hours from now. So that is 7 days from now. That's on Thursday evening, the 30th, going into the 30th of September. So roughly 7 days from now, this shows where Invest 98 could possibly be. And every dot on this map shows a possibility. So the question is it going to curve, hard to the right and end up where we see this cluster of dots? Is it going to stay further to the west, stay in the Gulf of Mexico longer and end up where this cluster of dots is? Or is it going to go somewhere in the middle and kind of hook up along the west coast of Florida and end up where this cluster of dots are located? So the reason this is important of which is it? Is it going to be this cluster of dots, somewhere in this cluster of dots, or somewhere in this cluster of dots? And the point is that if it's either this cluster of dots in the middle or this cluster of dots on the far right 7 days from now, both of those scenarios give us a decent chance for seeing some remnant rain out of this. Okay, so if it ends up here in the far western Gulf of Mexico, what happens then is it's slower, it's more delayed, and there's a possibility that we may see not a whole lot of rain from Invest 98. So the point is, if Invest 98 ends up anywhere inside this general area, if it ends up anywhere in here, then chances are it's going to continue to trek up to the north and northeast, basically next weekend, not this weekend, but next weekend. So odds are pretty good that next weekend we're going to be dealing with some remnants of Invest 98 or whatever it becomes in the next few days. Odds are pretty good we're going to get some rain out of this. Maybe next weekend, we'll see. The only way we don't get any rain out of this, or maybe get very light impacts or light rain out of it, is if this cluster of dots ends up being where it tracks to. Okay, so if it's in the far western cluster of these dots, then we will have lesser impacts. And when I say lesser impacts, I mean lesser rain amount. Okay, but if it does something like this, then that puts us in the heavier rain zone, if you will, next weekend. Also, that could mean, some breezy conditions around here. It could mean, maybe maybe an isolated tornado or two with remnants. If it treks far to the right and goes up the coast, then that's going to be obviously more impacts for the coastal North Carolina. So anyway, everything is still on the table, and that's outlined by this blue line here. This blue circle means that, it could be anywhere in this blue circle 7 days from now. And that's a big, big difference. Again, if it ends up here, then we get more impact, more rain. If it ends up here, then we get lesser impacts, lesser rain, and it's delayed. Okay, so we got a long way to go. That's what, 7, 8, 9, that's what, not at least 8 or 9, 10 days from now. Mm-hmm. So a lot could change between now and 8, 9, 10 days from now. So, but I know this system is generating a lot of interest, and I wanted to show you that there's still a lot of differences about what we may see out of this, depending on which of these tracks it ends up taking. So I hope that provides a little insight as to what we think may happen. But again, that's outside of this briefing period. When we come back on Monday morning at 11:30 with our weekly briefing, we'll be able to narrow this down a lot. So definitely, if you're watching this today, know that obviously, our next regularly scheduled briefing is at 11:30 on Monday. Come back and join us for that, and we'll be able to nail this down a little better. Okay. All right. So that said, the 8 to 14 day shows a lot of rain in the southeast because of what's left of of that invest. All right, and then of course, here's our drought, latest on our drought. And things have been heading a little bit downhill across the northeast part of the state with drought D1 returning. So that's the latest there. So anyway, that wraps up our briefing. As Jimmy alluded to, we've got that front coming through today with some showers and storms moving through. There's potential for a damaging storm or two as that front and that line of storms moves through late this afternoon and early evening. And then, yeah, it really cools down the next few days after this front moves through. And Jimmy was telling us about the chilly temperatures Friday night. Keep an eye on that. Also, keep an eye before that front moves through. It's going to be quite warm today. Temperatures going through the mid 90s most places. Maybe a little bit of rain Sunday and Sunday night with another front, and then drying out early to middle of next week. And of course, like I said, come back on 11:30 a.m. Monday, and we'll have an update on Invest 98. And there's at the bottom there, you can see some of those real pleasant readings as we head through the next few days. Jimmy, did I miss anything in the recap?
Nope, I think you covered it all.
All right. Well, thanks for bringing everybody the details with the storms later today. And that pretty much wraps up your weekly briefing for this Thursday, 22nd of September, first day of fall. So those chilly temperatures coming the next few days are chilly. I say chilly.
Yeah.
Well, I guess chilly is not the right word to use, but cooler are right on schedule with the first day of fall.
40s is chilly, I guess.
40s is chilly. Yeah, that's right. All right. So that wraps up our weekly briefing here.